Jeff Sharlet. I've seen him on a lot of national TV programs and read an article he wrote for the New York Times. He is a New York Times best-selling author of The Family, The Secret Fundamentalism at the Heart of American Power. I actually saw an article about him in the New York Times. And a contributing editor to Harper's and Rolling Stone. Has been writing about the intersection of religion, politics, and culture for more than a decade. His writing on religion has earned him praise from writers, and it goes on from there. His new book is The Family, and we've got that up on screen for everybody. The Secret Fundamentalism at the Heart of American Power. He's here with us for most of the hour. Then Wide Open Phones coming up at the end of the hour and in the fourth hour, covering the flu hype and NLE 09. Martial law drills going on. So that's coming up. Jeff, thank you for coming on with us.
Hey, Alex. Thanks for having me. It's a real honor.
You bet. Honored to have you. I wanted to play Rachel Maddow kind of breaking down what you were going over first. Tell us about yourself, how you got interested in this, about this group on K Street, The Family, and then how it ties into Ashcroft's group, The Brotherhood, that's also out of another house or the same house. It all gets confusing. There's other secretive right-wing Christian groups, like the Council on National Policy. There's a lot of different organizations, and I haven't studied them all, but I've tried to look at some of them. Tell us about how you woke up to this group.
Well, first I should say it's C Street, not K Street, and you know.
C Street, there you go. Yeah, see, I got them all.
Exactly. We think of K Street as the kind of the avenue of influence in Washington. I think we've got a
yeah, the lobbyists. I had a Freudian slip. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're acting like it, aren't they? It began. I was several years ago. I was working on my first book. I was traveling around the country and spending time with unusual religious communities, and a friend of mine worried that her brother had joined a cult. Said, would you meet with him? This was way back in 2011. And so this guy came up. I'd known him for 12 years, and frankly, he'd always been kind of a jerk. But he had really turned his life around, despite the fact he left his career, left his relationship to move to Washington and be of service to powerful people. And he said, look, you won't understand it unless you see it, and you can't get in unless you're invited. And I said, well, how do I apply? And he said, there are no applications. There's just The Family. So that sounded interesting to me, not as a believer, but just as a person who is interested about the varieties of religious experience, you might say. So I went down and spent about a month living with these guys, and I didn't know it was political at first, but then we had a visit from Senator Jesse Helms. I said, okay, all right, I think I understand.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, this doesn't sound, and I'm not defending the group because I don't even know about it to you don't even get his name right, but C Street, The Family, C Street's the name, and obviously the house. If it's such a cult, and I do agree, it looks pretty culty, why did they just let you right in then? Well, first of all, I actually say that they are not a cult. I don't think they are cultish, but not a cult. Because a cult has certain characteristics. They are cultish. They've got the cult of personality around their leader, Doug Coe. But what they really believe in the sort of networks of elites. And so because I was invited, that's the only way you get in. You get invited. So because I was invited by this guy, that made me sort of okay. And I think they were actually interested in the fact that I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, because they saw me as an influencer, someone who can help spread the message. So they had me into this house. And I originally wrote about this for Harper's Magazine. If anyone's sitting out there being skeptical, that all went through fact-checking, legal review, never been disputed. Lived with these guys for a month. Okay, but I mean, they're pretty confident then about the way they operate and the way they work to let a prominent journalist into their midst, though.
I wouldn't say I was prominent at that point, but, they've been around for 70 years. They do believe in secrecy. The leader of the group, Doug Coe, says the more invisible you can make your organization, the more influence it will have.
Okay, so you did infiltrate to a certain level. So this is cultish then.
Yeah, it's absolutely cultish. I mean, there's a cult of personality around this guy, Doug Coe, whom they sometimes call First Brother. They say he has a special relationship with God unparalleled by anyone else in the world. And that also that the inner circle members, and here's where it gets really creepy when we're talking about Senator Ensign and Governor Sanford, guys linked to the group, the inner circle members are not bound by the same morality that applies to the rest of us. The morality is a human construct, and God has a different story ready for these powerful men.
Now, is this the same group that Ashcroft's part of? Because I saw articles like 4 or 5 years ago about, and did some research about Ashcroft part of a house he lived at and other people that were members. I mean, is this the only group like this, or are you aware of others?
No, you're thinking of Ashcroft. I spent, you may even have been looking at I mean, I've been writing about this for a while. John Ashcroft, I lived with him for a month and then discovered they had dumped 600 boxes of documents, unorganized. They hadn't even sifted through them in Billy Graham's archives. So I went.
Yeah, so that was your article. I did read about how they don't really care about abortion and they like Machiavelli, wasn't it? I mean, I'm going from memory here.
Not as much social issues. John Ashcroft, I found letters dating back to the early 1980s. John Ashcroft was writing to the leader of the group, Doug Coe, for his brother, saying that he wanted to get involved and could he be helped. And that's what the family has done historically. They've identified guys that they think they can work with, and then they groom them and sort of raise them up the political ladder. Doug Coe, the leader of the group, he likes to say, we work with power where we can, build new power where we can't. And that means that they've got a lot of political allies in Washington.
So it's like a political religious fraternity.
Very much so, very much so.
Okay, well, I mean, I know I'm throwing a lot of points in here because over the years I've done research here, there, but you forget a lot more than than you can actually comprehend. But I know there's all these weird, secretive groups. Did you ever run into any connections in this group with Masons, Masonic groups, or with Opus Dei Catholic groups, or with the CNP, Council on National Policy?
There's a lot of overlap with the CNP, guys like Ed Meese and various members like that. But one of the most interesting connections I did find was Opus Dei. And you might almost describe the family as kind of a Protestant Opus Dei, but they lack even the integrity of Opus Dei. But they originally, in their archives, they were very interested in working in Spain. They were very international. They work around the world. The dictator for a long time there was named Franco, and he was not interested in having any Protestant groups around. Until they made contact with some ministers in his government, Opus Dei members, and then started building up a network of alliances. From our research, I got to spend a lot of time with Senator Sam Brownback of Kansas, who has the unique distinction of being a member of the family and an associate of Opus Dei. He converted to a very strange kind of Catholicism through Opus Dei's chapel, which appropriately enough actually is on K Street in Washington.
Okay, see, those are the questions I haven't seen asked on television. I've read your articles over the years and haven't read your book yet, though we just got it. And so I've got a piece here, a piece there, and I'm trying to delve more into the architecture of left-wing and right-wing groups. Did you ever run into any connections to Bohemian Grove? Because a lot of, quote, Christian conservatives that have these big public personas as Christian conservatives also go to the Grove that Richard Nixon described as a homosexual orgy.
I don't know about that part, but Doug Coe certainly is a long-time, Doug Coe, the leader of the group, is a long-time attendee. And, certainly we're talking about here, guys like Ed Meese, Senator, or former Attorney General Ashcroft, Senator Ensign. We're talking about the power elite. And
so they do go to Bohemian Grove. There is a Vatican connection. There is a Bohemian Grove connection. It's just always the same.
Well, I'm actually wary of calling that a Vatican connection. I would call that an Opus Dei connection. I think
Gotcha.
Opus Dei is a little bit distinct. I mean, look, mainstream American Catholicism, I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Oh, hey, I'm not here bashing any groups either. I mean, this is a secular radio show. I'm trying to see how all these groups tie together.
Yeah, and I think you're drawing some connections that are important to make.
Wow. Well, listen, I'm going to try to let you roll when we get back. I just wanted to ask some questions that I haven't heard asked of you before. It's really great having you here with us. The book, ladies and gentlemen, is The Family, and it is available all over bookstores. It's got a great cover, too, but also a great book inside. Jeff Sharlet.
Are you tired of losing your hard-earned savings in retirement? Does the continued loss of purchasing power through the hidden tax of inflation brought on by trillions of dollars in government bailouts bother you? Then please let me, Dwayne Daly, with Midas Resources, help you to protect what you have left. Call me at 800-686-2237, extension 115, and I will explain to you how to retain your wealth and purchasing power now and in the future with gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a form of currency for 6,000 years compared to our present fiat currency, which has only been in existence for 38 years and failing fast. Call me, Dwayne Daly, at 800-686-2237, extension 115, to start your protection of wealth today. I will custom fit the protection package to your personal needs. No amount is too small, so start today. Call Dwayne Daly with Midas Resources at 800-686-2237, extension 115 for your gold and silver protection portfolio.